Так, всем доброго дня. С вами продолжаем играть в игру за Cthulhu. Остановились мы, по-моему, на том, что сбежали с турки и оказались в особняке Хокинсов.
Who goes there?
Кто тут?
That nightmare again. I need a drink.
Ну что-то кошмарики. Надо сделать.
You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Да ничего
Did
не
I
было.
sleep long?
The day is only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
I saw people in hoods. They had stolen Mrs. Hawkins' paintings.
Who are you talking about? Why would they do such a thing?
I don't know, but they were a threat. They've taken over the caves under the mansion. They were performing some kind of ritual. One of the entryways was under Charles Hawkins' office.
We suspect Mr. Hawkins of being involved.
My patients believe the old islanders used to worship primitive sea gods. Could they be the focus of the cult?
Am I hearing this right?
So you think me gullible?
No, not at all.
What else did you uncover, Mr. Pierce?
Что еще?
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
It seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
I found a Darkwater PD badge. Lost a colleague recently?
What the...
Bradley.
Ethan?
I'm all right. I just had a... It's gone.
You're sure?
If it's important, it'll come back. But I can't explain why Dr. Fuller would have that badge.
The man's a danger, believe me.
What can we do, Pierce?
I heard you talking earlier.
Why am I not surprised?
I get the impression you two don't get along.
Intrusive and not very clever. Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
Bradley, what do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins mansion. You don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor, then,
Then what?
The rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
And then?
I went to visit you at the hospital, and called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the tunnel?
I don't. Let's talk about something else.
I have flashbacks. They haunt me.
What did they do to you?
There was that Dr. Fuller, and a nurse. Blood everywhere. My legs, the pain, I couldn't bear it. I was screaming. They injected me with something. I woke up at the Institute. Bradley was there.
And how you scared us. You seemed demented.
You likely woke up during the anesthesia. No wonder those memories haunt you. What in God's name were they doing to you?
What happened afterwards?
When I woke up the second time, I was in a padded cell. That's where you found me, Doctor. After you released me, I got a good look at what's in store for the patients of the Riverside Institute. Hallucinogenic gas pumped into the cells. An infernal machine, horrific medical experiments.
Impossible. Dr. Fuller would never do such a thing.
You should believe it, Ethan. What Mr. Pierce saw is precisely what I've been trying to prove. Did you discover anything else?
Given the energy he pours into Riverside, I presume it was Fuller's creation.
His father's, to be correct. He was a surgeon on board the Scylla. He founded the hospital in 1904 with funds from the Hawkins family before he died and his son Thomas Fuller took over.
Two families inextricably linked.
Most island families are that way. Captain Fitzroy's father was also a seaman aboard the Scylla.
Powerful families dominating everything.
Yes, and as you could tell, Dr. Fuller is like some crazed emperor.
He wouldn't be happy if he knew we were snooping around.
I know the risks. I don't fear him. Do you wish to know anything else?
Dr. Fuller seems to be leaving a trail of corpses. Not to mention those strange machines, and chains, and tools of all kind.
Yes. I've been telling you that Fuller uses his patients as guinea pigs.
What I saw was more akin to torture than medicine.
Do you even hear what you're saying? Dr. Fuller is highly respected.
It's the truth, Ethan. And I'll prove it to you. I'm listening, Mr. Pierce.
I found a file bearing Sarah Hawkins' name in the Institute's basement.
It makes sense. A powerful family like the Hawkins had the means to hide such a disgrace.
But everyone knows the Fullers have been taking care of the Hawkins for at least a generation. And all were aware of Mrs. Hawkins' fragility.
Perhaps, but no one would allow a psychiatric internment.
From what I read in the file, Fuller used her as a subject of his experiments.
Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins, subjects of Dr. Fuller. Why those two?
I met a Francis Sanders. Do you know him?
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins, and that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
I didn't see what, but something was there, with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins' visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
He's right. We can't ignore the truth.
But it could drive her mad.
Better madness than ignorance. Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
Let us go now and learn the truth about what's happening on this island.
Так. Говорится, давай выйти отсюда. Какая-то очень запутанная история, честно.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders? I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well, well, look who's here.
А где твой фонарь?
You know each other.
We had a brief exchange. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, Detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me.
А, это типа халат такой со смехом.
May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
Что произошло, да?
He started raving, screaming that a dimensional shambler had found him.
Mercy, that story again. Why have him interned?
That was when he began to convulse and twist with pain. Or terror, it's hard to tell.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not really sure of what I saw, or what I didn't see. But it's best that you weren't there.
I should have been there. What you're telling me is outrageous. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
Mrs. Sanders, I understand your grief, and I extend my deepest condolences to you. But I had nothing to do with the death of your husband. I've just arrived on Darkwater. I'm investigating the death of the Hawkins family.
The death of the Hawkins family? You mean it was not an accident? This accursed island knows only tragedy after tragedy. You too would be advised to flee it like the plague. Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
How did you come to meet Sarah Hawkins?
We were the wealthiest and most influential families on Darkwater. Of course we would know each other. And when Charles returned from Europe with his sweet little artist, she and her sinister paintings were destined to catch my husband's eye. He bought many of her works over the last 5 years. They adorn his macabre gallery.
May I ask you what Miss Baker is doing here? How do you know her?
My business with Miss Baker is private, Mr. Pierce.
But you do know what kind of business Miss Baker is in, don't you?
I am no fool. Please believe that much, at least.
I deduce that your husband already mentioned this dimensional shambler.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it, I would urge you to make the most of your visit. Because I count on ridding myself of that thing as soon as I can.
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long. Did she really care for him after all?
Я подтверждаю получение письма, в котором вы требуете вернуть вам тело почившего мужа. К сожалению, вынужден сообщить, что не могу вернуть его вам. В момент его помещения в лечебницу вы подписали форму отказа, которая позволяет мне избавиться от тела таким образом, как вы сочтете наиболее подходящим. Приношу вам свои глубочайшие соболезнования. Томас Фуллер.
The day the Shambler came into the Sanders' lives. A house of artists. A house of artists.
Чё, блядь?
Frances Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even? Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler, "Finally." What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting? He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom? She first refused to sell the painting. How did that make her feel? Was she jealous of Sarah Hawkins? The Shambler. I need to see it. Is this dagger part of Sanders' collection, or was he seeking to acquire it?
Искусство и мистицизм. Забытые предметы. Сборник, написанный Фрэнсисом Сандерсом. В этой книге он перечисляет и классифицирует различные предметы разных эпох и разного происхождения, которые связаны с оккультными или мистическими практиками. Книга открыта на странице с кинжалом, на котором изображен известный мне символ. Закрыто. Снова закрыто.
Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
Запись для фонографа, который Фрэнсис Сандерс оставил своей жене. Прикольная картина.
A strange Amerindian pendant.
Древний амулет, скорее всего индийский. Интересно, для чего он принадлежал. Это треска, краткая история острова Дарквот. Первого на Рита. Рассказывает о былой славе.
I could use one of those. Strange. For months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her painting, to finally give it away for nothing.
Картине, если наша дружба тебе хоть что-то значит, пожалуйста, избавь меня от чувства вины. Я не могу стать причиной твоего падения. Прошу тебя, мой дорогой друг, забудь о бродяге. Сара.
An old diary.
В этом томе рассказывается о сообществе преподобного Иквуда. Его жена обеспокоена странными снами, которые снятся пастве преподобного с момента прибытия на остров. Некоторые члены сообщества, в том числе и ее муж, начали говорить, будто бы эти видения посланы им Богом. Она боится, что их всех ждет судьба пропавшего. Да, конечно, прочитаю. Это энциклопедия чудовищных и неизвестных тварей. Я начинаю верить в существует.
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
I have a well-off client in Boston who heard about the death of Francis Sanders and wanted me to size up his estate before making an offer to his widow.
Nice story. Bad lie. Learn how to dupe, Detective. But as long as you keep out of my way, you're free to carry on with your visit.
And you? What brings you to the Sanders home?
I'm here on business. Irene asked me to liquidate all these paintings. She doesn't intend to hang around here for long.
Why you?
Believe it or not, there aren't many collectors on Darkwater. It needs someone with a network and a means of transport to the mainland. A choice that comes down to Fitzroy and me. And I'm far more pleasant, wouldn't you say?
Ну, не знаю, насколько приятнее с тобой иметь дело. Эта студенческая работа выпущена в форме книги, хотя наблюдения автора и вызывают определенный интерес, ему явно не хватает знаний и опыта. Поставленные им вопросы позволяют задуматься о новых способах исследования человеческой анатомии.
Why was he so interested in old weapons? The man transformed an entire wing of his manor into an art gallery.
Понимаю, это и есть эта картина, да? А что происходит? Нет. Да я сейчас буду выходить. Да. твою такое?
What the hell was that? Damn. Maybe I can use this dagger.
И чё?
What the hell was that?
Так нечестно, чё он меня шотает, блядь, с первого раза.
Damn. Did it hear that? Maybe I can use this dagger. Damn it! This dagger didn't work.
Чё ты, блядь, бегаешь за мной, блядь? Еботина, блядь.
What the hell was that?
Присесть я забыл.
Yeah. This dagger looks different.
What's the matter with you? You sure you won't be needing that hand? You're losing it, Detective. At this rate, you're right. The bottle will get you before I do.
You didn't see anything.
I saw you within an inch of putting a dagger through your forearm. Did I miss something more interesting?
Sanders was right. This painting is cursed.
What are you talking about?
I was attacked by a creature. I pushed it back, I think.
I think so too.
You knew. You knew about the beast.
What are you talking about? Think yourself lucky that I saved your hand, even if it was to save my goods.
You mean me?
Don't flatter yourself, sweetheart. I'm talking about the contents of this gallery. And by the way, where do you think you're going with that dagger?
It saved my life. It's an extraordinary dagger.
You should talk to Algernon Drake. He's an antique dealer here on Darkwater. He'll tell you all about it. From what I saw in the ledgers, it was him who sold it to Sanders.
It's not your style to give me free information like that.
Take it as payment for being my canary. A simple trade-off. Now go see your antique seller. I still got things to settle with Irene.
Так. Бродяга оказался не просто картиной Сары Хокинса. Эта огромная тварь выскочила из полотна и напала на пирса. После долгой драки сыщик снова запереть тварь в картине. Позже он узнал, что кинжал, которым он прогнал чудовище, продал Сандерсу человек по имени Элджернон Дрейк, владелец безымянной книжной лавки. Пирс решает сходить туда.
Where's the bookseller? Freud's The Interpretation of Dreams. It's the work that laid the foundations of psychoanalysis at the beginning of this century.
Хорошо.
An old diary.
Преподобный объявил сам себя пророком, он отказался от Бога и стал поклоняться странной языческой сущности чудовищного обличия. Его жена пыталась урезонить мужа, но тщетно. Он был убежден, что должен слушаться голоса в голове, потому что тот говорит правду. В 17 веке на острове основалась колония пуритан под руководством преподобного Джона Виппеда. Понятно, значит. Буду я читать.
What does this
Буду,
strange book
конечно.
contain? This book contains unholy knowledge.
Это чудище.
The Book of Zion is the foundational work behind Helena Blavatsky's theosophical movement.
Blavatsky.
Its followers place truth on the same footing as a religion.
Цинский конспект. Чай.
What happened here?
Что здесь произошло? А я откуда знаю?
Let's start over. Where did they break in from? Blood. Seems like amateur work.
Вот это.
To whom does this footprint belong? No sign of struggle. If the burglar smashed this jar, it wasn't intentionally. Was he hurt then?
Не намеренно. Что дальше?
What killed all these animals?
Чки.
What sort of thief leaves his tools at the crime scene? What happened that made the burglar flee before finishing his work? What the? Charles Hawkins? Looks like the symbol rejected Hawkins. Where did I see it? What sort of power did Sarah Hawkins' painting possess? Sarah Hawkins helped hide something in this safe.
Но спрятала какую-то фишку в сейф. Чё?
Drake put in a great deal of effort to hide whatever is in here. Everything is linked to the Sarah Hawkins case.
Да. Подожди, сейчас сначала осмотрим просто все.
What link did he find between Charles Hawkins and an old amulet?
Этот ключ со знаком старшего, что может защитить твой разум. Это цилиндрический медальон на тяжелой цепи. Сотнями были выгравированы звезда и ветка, которые должны отражать силы древних. Все указывает на то, что у прошлого владельца египетского торговца антиквариатом медальон собрал Чарльз Хокинс. Дата в газетных вырезках, посвященных нарушению, совпадает с датами поездки Хокинза в Каир. Ясно.
Is everyone on this island taking sleeping pills? Drake left instructions on how to find the combination of his safe.
Кое-что можно читать. Если кто-то найдет эти пары, пусть не сомневается, что я в большой беде. А единственная последняя надежда в том, что мое тело и кости все еще пребывают в этой реальности. Тогда их можно найти и сжечь. Грибальную уту отдать моей матери, если она все еще в этом. Следующее сообщение очень важно. Кто бы ни читал эти строки, если он обладает такой же остротой ума, то может надеяться на обладание моих самых ценным имуществом. Оно лежит в моем сейфе. Подсказки к комбинациям содержатся в 3 цилиндрах, скрытых там, где жизнь. Каждый цилиндр пронумерован, хоть и говорит. Так, цель. G. 7. Расследование. расследования. Статус наличия. Поиск. Так, а где? Где эти? Понятно, а где сами эти бабушки?
Arkham editions. Never heard of him. How many volumes are there in this collection? Another volume by Arkham Editions. Arkham Editions.
Arkham Editions.
How many volumes are there in this collection?
Так, это все неинтересно.
Cylinders that Drake tried to hide. I should perhaps listen to them.
Да нашлись.
And these red
Так,
rocks,
первый.
like precious stones, lie fixed,
Пацаны,
set in divine gold.
божественным
To be the
золотом.
guardian of the Grail does not protect me from its attractions, Henry. And I do confess it. I am willing to pay to know its secrets.
Я понял.
I finally understood that we were only pieces on the chessboard of the gods. Let those of us who are still standing protect our White Queen from their dark soldiers. I see our number dwindling, and my will strengthens as my apprehension grows. We shall refuse to... I finally understood that we were only pieces on the chessboard of the gods. Let those of us who are still standing protect our White Queen from their dark soldiers. Dear friend, I thank you again for the anthology of the works of Arkham editions that you sent me. Volume 9, Azathoth and Other Horrors, seemed particularly relevant to my research. I never tire of browsing through them.
Хорошо.
The Chalice of Knowledge.
Засечки давай, допустим. Раз, два, три, четыре, пять. Хорошо.
The Queen has little protection. Drake talked about a particular... So these are the volumes that... What did Drake say about this? Drake talked about a particular volume. So these are the volumes that Drake... What did Drake say about this collection? Drake talked about a particular... So these are the volumes that Drake was talking about in his message.
Так, ну, по идее 539, да? Вот. 39. И чё? Халима. Чё, опять в дурку? В безымянной книжной лавке Пирс обнаружил следы взлома. Он выяснил, что за попыткой взлома стоял Чарльз Хокинс. Пирс открыл сейф книготорговца и узнал, что там лежала книга в переплете из человеческой кожи, которая непреодолимо увлекла детектива. Когда он открыл книгу, его разум оказался в чужом теле.
Dr. Colden, this man's condition is deteriorating.
What says Dr. Fuller? It's his patient, after all.
He's busy with Captain Fitzroy. He specifically asked us not to bother him when that's the case.
Oh, of course. I'll see what I can do. Mr. Blake, can you hear me? I'm Dr. Colden. We'll take care of you.
There's nothing we can do. I tried talking to him. He's catatonic.
Very well. I'll examine him. 30-year-old subject. Severe hypothermia. Erythematous papules around the eyes and eardrums. Necrosed palpebral tissue. Lord, this smell. His skin shows abnormal loss of color and seems dried out. He's totally dehydrated. His fingertips and toes seem to feature a slight ring under the skin. Tender at the touch. Slightly sticky. Severe malnutrition. Swollen abdomen with traces of petechia. Doesn't seem like an edema. Slight protuberances seem to indicate the presence of a foreign body.
So, Doctor, an opinion?
I'm not sure I have the necessary knowledge to treat this man.
Don't say that. You're our most worthy doctor after Dr. Fuller.
Some of his symptoms are beyond my comprehension.
What did you find?
Did you examine his abdomen? It would seem there's something inside.
He hasn't eaten in days. Are you certain it's not an edema?
No. Can't you recognize an edema? Pushing with your finger won't leave a trace. And look at these bumps.
It's not like he could be pregnant.
Whatever it is, this man has something inside him that shouldn't be there. We should operate on him at once.
Dr. Fuller said not to worry, that the edema would go away by itself.
You know, I'm not sure Dr. Fuller is telling the truth. In spite of the muscle
А это он с кем?
contractions,
С
his
офицером
arms seem
разговаривает,
limp.
да?
Yes. They can't have decalcified, not at this rate.
And yet, if there is a bone in this arm, it's softer than that of a newborn baby. What about his cranium?
It's soft at the touch. It does seem like the skull of a baby.
Look at these sticky rings growing at his fingertips. What can be happening?
I'm sure you'll find an explanation. You have to.
I see signs of hypodermoclysis, but he's still dehydrated. When was his last IV?
He's constantly under perfusion. I've even gone beyond the recommended dose to no avail. And you won't believe me, but when we bathed him earlier...
He seemed to feel better?
Yes. Like he needs an aquarium, not a perfusion. But that doesn't explain his condition.
I almost don't believe it myself, but these symptoms are not those usually associated with the human species.
What do you mean? Don't tell me you believe in extraterrestrials.
No. This poor man is from our world, all right. But his body is undergoing unnatural mutations. And this transformation is killing him. His body simply can't cope.
Where could he have gotten such an infection?
I pray that it's not here.
Dr. Colden, may I know what you're doing to my patient?
What I'm doing? How about what you've done to him?
Let us calm down, my dear Marie. I don't appreciate your tone, nor your insinuations. I've done to him what I do to all my patients, provide him with the best available care.
Your imagination is without limit. It's your homemade drug again, is it not? Those people are not your guinea pigs.
There, there. What have you seen to put you in such a state?
I've seen suction cups on his fingers, his falling body temperature, his dehydration. Had I only read the report, you know what I would have concluded, Doctor.
Do I? Tell me anyway. I'm curious.
He's no longer human. These are the attributes of an animal.
Fascinating. An animal, you say? Could you be more precise? Cephalopod, perhaps?
This amuses you.
Your reaction does. I know your thirst for knowledge, Doctor. It's your innocent worries for this man that have you overreacting.
For this man, and the others whose medical files you've been hiding.
I have to protect my discovery. These people owe me their life, but the world isn't ready yet. It will be, in time.
I will not let you do this.
You disappoint me, Marie, but I still have hope you'll one day share my point of view. In the meantime, take care of your own patients and try not to forget who you're dealing with.
Was that a threat? What did he mean?
It was a warning. Dr. Fuller is this institution's founder and one of our profession's most influential voices. My word is of no weight against his. If I continue to protest, I will only ruin my reputation and career.
It's scandalous. Can't we do anything? Is there no evidence of his crimes?
Oh, that evidence exists. I'm sure of it. I need to find the missing medical files.
And where would you find those? In his office? What if you get caught?
I'd rather not think about that. I'm counting on your discretion.
Of course, Doctor. You can count on me. I'll keep Mum.
Ну смотри, а то я тебя в толчке утоплю.
An unknown medicine. Judging by the other ones, it causes heavy side effects. Chronic insomnia. Like half the island. Hay fever. What's he doing here?
Doctor, please. My chest. Oh.
His perfusion of a semi-physiological solution doesn't seem to work. He's undergoing a ventricular fibrillation. Nurse? Deborah, come and help me, please. His potassium level is too high. Replace it with 2% glucose solution with insulin, calcium, and sodium bicarbonate.
I'll tend to it right away.
Thank you. He's in your hands. He broke his back in an accident down by the docks.
Ah, the whaling station. What's wrong with me?
What are you talking about?
Doctor, that you?
Yes, it's Dr. Colden. Tell me what happened.
It's the old whaling station. See?
What did you see there?
Nothing. Nothing at all. The floor was all rotten and I fell straight through.
And that's how you broke your back?
Perhaps. No idea. Passed out.
Why did nobody tell me about her admission?
В карте описывается состояние, в котором Мариан Сандерс поступила в Риверсайдский институт, а также лечение, которое было назначено. Фуллер дописал примечание, но рекомендует привести психиатрическое крыло, чтобы понятно турку.
Mrs. Sanders?
Как-то тут прям вообще все чересчур запутанно.
She recently came back from the surgical block. She's stable. Given her file, a nephrectomy would have been inevitable. But Fuller was able to save her kidney.
Как-то запутанно.
What is the boiler room key doing here? The key to the boiler room. Not where I expected to find it.
Мне не нужен ключ, типа того.
Another insomniac. I should find the cause for such a widespread trouble. Intoxication from breathing organic vapors. Gentlemen, may I help you?
We're waiting on news regarding our mother, Maureen Harding. She came in with a kidney problem, but we haven't heard anything since.
I've tended to her, and I have good news. Her blood analysis is reassuring. Her kidneys are as new.
Are you talking about the same person? This is miraculous.
She's still recovering, but you may speak to her upon her awakening.
Oh, thank you so much, Doctor. We'll wait for her to wake up. We've been here since this morning, so it won't make a difference.
Как хотите, ребята. Что здесь у нас?
Patients and hospital personnel eat the same food.
Фу. Отвратительно, там жижа.
Watch out for the water, Doctor.
No, you're pulling my leg. I'm not joking. I saw the schedule. She's alone in the bathroom again. And she still says nothing to that old witch Donovan.
Oh, listen to the way you talk, you naughty girl. And the answer is no. You can imagine that she doesn't dare say a thing. That silly goose lets herself be trodden on.
Oh well, at least we won't have to clean for a while.
And just wait and see. That
Everybody says it. She's a witch, an old hag. I didn't make this up.
Elizabeth? You all right? Why is this room in such a state?
Because, as always, I'm cleaning it by myself. And the water was once again shut off this morning. I had to bother Mrs. Donovan again, giving her a new excuse to belittle me.
Do you really need Mrs. Donovan to open a valve? Why not ask the janitor?
I can't make these decisions without her approval. Imagine if there were a leak. Anyhow, the boiler room is locked half the time. So every time the water gets shut off, I have to go and endure her reproach until she's settled the problem.
I see. Courage, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Doctor.
Да.
It's temperamental, if I understand correctly.
Прям похоже очень. Реально.
Everybody says it. She's a witch, an old hag. I didn't make this up. And I'm the one who pays. What a pest.
Есть что-нибудь?
I have little time for you, Doctor. You'll find out that it's not only the doctors who have things to do. Wait a minute. Where do you think you're going? Dr. Colden.
Mrs. Donovan.
Nobody goes into Dr. Fuller's office. But rest assured, I'll tell him you came by.
That won't be necessary. Thank you.
I will tell him, nonetheless.
Все равно доложу. Я понял, ты дятел, короче. Как попасть?
The doses prescribed by Fuller are far too high.
Барбитурку, хорош.
We're running out of this medicine.
I know, Doctor. We sent the purchase order, though, and Mrs. Donovan refused it.
Once again.
Can't you do anything?
Donovan takes her instructions directly from Dr. Fuller. I'm afraid I can do nothing about it for the moment. We've been waiting to be restocked for weeks.
Пустота.
The door to the boiler room is locked. Where did I see that key? Ah, yes. The office in Block B. Let's hope I can go through the administration office. The operating room is never accessible after an operation. This man, Edward Pierce, his file is incomplete. What did Fuller do to him?
Dr. Colden, we need you at once in Dormitory B.
What is the problem?
Mr. Evans seems to be having trouble with his IV.
I've done an exam. Deborah is looking after him.
And we had a patient come up from the psychiatric wing. Were you able to see him?
Oh. What state is he in now?
You should go see for yourself, Doctor.
Хорошо, сейчас посмотрю.
In theory, this is where we hang the key to the boiler room.
Dr. Colden.
The key to the boiler room. All I have to do is shut off the water and hope Donovan takes the bait.
А ты что тут делаешь?
Ethan,
Marie,
what are you doing here?
I'm waiting for my medication, of course.
Какие ты лекарства ждешь?
You're not here for treatment, right?
Am I so obvious?
Only to me. I know you worry about me.
I trust you. I'm happy to see you.
Me too, Ethan. Is that all?
Well, there might be something else. I'm not sure.
Tell me.
I have nightmares. They keep me awake every night. It seems stupid, I know, but they're terrible.
Actually, you're not the only one.
No. No one has ever seen the things I see. It's like I'm turning mad.
So many people have this affliction. It's like an epidemic.
Do you think it might be related to Fuller's work?
I don't know yet, but I will figure all this out. Everyone in Darkwater is suffering from nightmares.
Really?
We don't have any medication left.
Oh. There's no excuse then. I should let you work.
Take care, Ethan.
You too, Marie.
I don't get why they have us waiting so long. Almost no patients here.
Where did my fiancée go? I hope those nutcases will stop burdening her with work.
Так, а вот и бойлер.
I can't shut this with my bare hands. I need a tool.
Закрою дверку.
Everybody says it. She's a witch, an old hag. I didn't make this up.
I feel guilty about Elizabeth, but I need the diversion.
Включаем водицу.
It's temperamental, if I understand correctly.
Давай. Он чё,
It's
никого?
temperamental, if I understand correctly.
Dr. Colden, might there be a problem with the water?
I was about to mention it. It seems it's been cut off yet again.
I can't take this, Marie. I feel I'm gonna burst.
It's not your fault if we have defective plumbing.
And yet, I'm the one who gets punished because I'm gonna have to square off with that annoying old witch. Courage, Elizabeth. Here we go. And hold your tongue this time.
Elizabeth, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
At last. The missing files must be hidden here.
Yeah.
The Stendhal syndrome. Of course. This is where Fuller found his diagnosis for Francis Sanders. Something is wrong with these masts. It's some sort of puzzle. I've unlocked something.
Okay.
Patient files. I was right.
Да, послушаем, что там.
Conclusions. Session number 17. Patient? Sarah Hawkins. The patient appears to have finally accepted the illusory nature of what she calls the mythos. It goes without saying that these peculiar delusions are the price that comes with her exceptional gifts.
Why does Dr. Fuller write psychological reports about Sarah Hawkins?
At first, I presumed that her blood was the key.
This finger belonged to a woman. Why keep it here?
Nothing to explain Mrs. Hawkins' abilities.
The poor souls downstairs are not Fuller's only subjects.
Then James came, irate that Charles was keeping secrets from him. I presume that he will try to break into the basement sooner or later. I am prepared.
Why is Ethan on medication? Hawkins, Fitzroy, and Fuller. What is the connection between these three?
It's fortunate that I had the presence of mind to set the morgue in the basement. When all the fuss about the Hawkins incident finally comes to an end, I will dispose of her belongings. In the meantime, they must remain hidden in plain sight.
Of course. Sarah Hawkins is the connection. I must go back to the basement.
Понятно. Подставили, короче, смерть сегодня. Вот. Потом. Опять получается, возвращаюсь туда же, да? Куда я выбежал. Это кровь? Это...
Ah, now that's the Marie that I know. I knew I could count on your scientific curiosity. It's time to show you what you were so eager to discover.
If you're gonna shoot me, at least have the decency to look me in the eyes.
Turn around. Slowly.
Подожди, это же письмо писалось,
Talk,
что уже
filthy
умер.
thief! Oh, I swear I'll shoot!
Take a minute to look around. Everything points to Charles Hawkins.
He's dead!
No. He was here for a very specific item.
Oh, no.
The book. Why was it in the safe?
Have you read it?
Answer the question.
How foolish of you. Now you won't be able to escape his will. What did it show you?
She went into Fuller's office. She was looking for Sarah Hawkins' corpse.
Sarah Hawkins, you say? Let's go back to the start, shall we? Whose life did the Necronomicon choose to show you?
Dr. Colden. She was at the Riverside Institute. She's in danger. I have to go.
Wait. No one knows the occult better than me. You might need my help.
All right. All right. I might need you after all.
Perfect. Let's meet later at the Hawkins mansion. Now go! Rescue the doctor!
Thank you, Drake.
Так, ну с последним доктором мы займемся уже в следующей серии. Так что вот такая вот вечеринка у нас сегодня с вами. Играйте в хорошие игры. Всем пока-пока.